Dr. Soh, you have a PhD in neuroscience and you're a science journalist. So, what the is your problem with gender studies?
Started off so well. I mean, the biggest thing I would say is that their ideas are based in theory, not in any sort of empirical facts, and that they denigrate science because they claim that their theories should trump the scientific research that currently exists.
So what are some of those theories that you have the biggest problem with?
Well, I'd say the biggest one is this idea that gender is a social construct. It definitely is not. Another thing I would say is this idea that biological sex and gender identity and sexual orientation are all disparate things, and again, they are not. They're all interlinked.
Are there differences between the sexes?
There definitely are, and in the brain there are biologically based differences, not due to socialization.
Because when I think about it, it's like homelessness, autism, suicide, mass shootings, mansplaining. It seems like the ladies just can't compete with the boys.
And that's the thing, you don't see these scholars complaining that, suicide rates aren't higher in women, or that women aren't getting longer prison sentences to be on par with men.
Can you explain, I guess, the difference between biology and social constructs?
Well, this idea that, say, when people say gender is a social construct, that when we're born, we're blank slates. So we don't have any innate preferences, and all the behaviors that we show are learned. So people believe this pretty much from, I guess, conception, that any differences we see between boys and girls is due to parents and teachers, which is not true. So versus biology, which is hard science and has actual, quantitative data to back it up.
You've written about brain differences in men and women. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yes, so there is a very large and long-standing body of research showing that there are differences in the brain, both in structure and function, between men and women. So the third interstitial nucleus of the anterior hypothalamus is consistently larger in men than women. We also see with white matter, so this is the connective tissue in the brain, there is a greater number of connections running from the front to the back of the brain in men.
So the brain wipes front to back? Okay. Should someone know what they're talking about when it comes to science before they teach a subject that makes claims about a field of science?
Absolutely. And the frightening thing is, from my understanding, most of these, even academics, don't have any sort of understanding of the scientific method. I don't know that they know much about biology. If they did, it would seem that the claims they make then are, intentionally misrepresenting what the science says. And I've been told, a number of people reached out to me to tell me that they'll publicly deny these sex differences in biology, but they know what the truth is. They do it because they are afraid that research findings showing differences between men and women are going to be used to justify sexism. So I definitely think if you want to have any sort of valuable input on this topic, you need to read these studies. You can't just go based on what you hear, what people tell you. And I also think it's extremely naive for some people, they wave their hand and say, well, it's just pseudoscience. Well, how can you say that if you haven't actually read the studies yourself?
So you have to know what science is so you can know what pseudoscience is?
I would say so, yeah.
Let's talk about what you describe as politicizing the science around biological sex differences. So what do you gain by politicizing it?
I think people who do this think that it's something honorable and that they are helping to move women forward and get equal rights for us. I mean, I feel like we pretty much have gender equality already, but they feel that it's helping to promote further equality. And I think this is ridiculous. It doesn't actually deal with sexism. It doesn't challenge the underlying beliefs. If on the surface men and women are quote unquote identical, that doesn't change underlying ideas about women being inferior.
Where is toxic masculinity located?
Toxic masculinity is one of these interesting terms that I feel really just pathologizes masculinity and also pathologizes healthy male sexuality. I think it's really unfortunate that, male typical traits and behaviors are seen as so threatening or so offensive nowadays. I don't know why that is. I don't find that helpful. I don't find that term helpful either.
So I know that you've been accused of internalized misogyny.
All the time.
Do you agree with that? Have you internalized misogyny?
No, I don't agree with that. And I think that's just a really easy, lazy way of people trying to discount what I have to say. Another thing that people often will say is, you know, her PhD must be outdated or something like that.
You're so young. How could it be outdated? That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, people will say whatever they need to try and discredit, you know, ideas that they don't like. I would urge them to actually go and read the research and try to tell me the same thing after.
Maybe perhaps debate you?
Yeah, or debate me. I'm open to that.
Hell yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, We the Internet TV, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook for new videos every week. And make sure to follow Dr. Soh at Dr. Debra Soh on Twitter.